Hey everyone, Lee Trainer with StocksToTrade, Tim Bohen back with you. Got an amazing trader. I'm sure many of you know Jack Kellogg, but wanted to bring him on just because of mainly what's going on in the market right now. I mean, obviously we're seeing this crazy volatility around tariffs and and the Fed and just all of the news flow that's happening. In 20 years, I don't know if I remember a more news-based market out there. I mean, every day it changes. It's like one day this, next day this. So much uncertainty, but because of the uncertainty, a lot of people think of that as a negative, but that brings in volatility. And when you're a guy like Jack Kellogg that day trades and swing trades volatility, it just creates incredible opportunity. And I wanted to bring him on the channel because he's absolutely been crushing it the last few months, and just want to get his viewpoints into what he's been doing and how you guys can capitalize on that. So welcome. Nice to see you, Jack.
Thanks for having me on.
Take it back a little bit. Markets, especially kind of post-election, really started to light up. It's always hot in penny stocks and day trading, but you look at the election, things really got uncapped. So kind of take me back to there. What have you been doing? How have things been going back to last fall?
Yeah, last fall, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty with the overall election. People didn't know if Trump was going to win or Kamala was going to win. So the market was at a stalemate for the most part. Even if you look at Bitcoin, I think it really shows the speculation market during that time from early, summer and beginning in 2024 to the fall, which is over 9 months. Really was just consolidating. We did have that one big down move on the Japan carry trade, which was a quick drop and rebound. But other than that, it was really sideways. And as traction kind of started to gain that Trump was looking more and more of a favorite, people got very optimistic. Investors got optimistic. So we started seeing positive news flow that he was going to win, and we started seeing breakouts in I'll use Bitcoin again, which is what I call kind of speculation.
Sure.
We saw Bitcoin break out, and that brought a lot of other potential sectors and moves. So we also had quantum stocks move a ton. Tesla with Elon, his stock broke out like crazy as the same thing was going on. I think Tesla was up 60 or 70% in a few months as well. And with all booms, busts come as well. So what I started to notice in January after that awesome fall run was that good news stopped moving the market up. So Trump would be like, hey, we're going to do this. And then whatever type of asset, it would spike very short and then come right back down. Right. And it was just the same cycle going over and over. And usually that's what you're looking for at the top of markets when good news stops moving the price up, and same thing on the bottom of the markets. You can see, kind of fast forwarding now, what happened with Tesla's earnings. Tesla their earnings were complete dog.
Right.
And that ended up being the bottom of Tesla as of right now, and it started going back up. So it's very counterintuitive. I'm not just saying that if good news doesn't go up, that it's a short, or if bad news doesn't go down, it's a long. But if it's in correspondence with the right spot in the market, it's often a place that stocks and asset classes can reverse. So after the market topped, we started getting a waterfall down as the tariffs started coming out. Trump said he was going to do tariffs pre-election and obviously post-election, but as people started to digest how bad these tariffs were going to be, and without him removing income tax, without him doing anything along those lines yet, the news was being digested very bad because tariffs are just another tax.
Right.
And the market started to go down slowly, and then it kind of bottomed out a little bit and had a very slight weak bounce, maybe up a little bit, and then after that bounce was quickly reverted the other way, back down. Then Trump had his Liberation Day, and that absolutely started the panic where the market went down back-to-back 4% red days on the SPY. And that really opened the door to extreme volatility that we hadn't seen since probably COVID, and before that, 2008. Before that, probably the crash of 2000. So you only get these pockets every so often, but there's a lot of money to be made, but also a lot of money to be lost during these periods. So you got to make sure that you're picking your spots correctly.
So great way to kind of go to my next question, how have you been picking those spots? Because again, I've seen some of these trades, $1 million trades, $500,000 trades. I mean, you're up over $19 million in your career now. So how are some of those, what are some of those trades, and like how can you share with some of the people at home, like what's a great way to capitalize on that?
A lot of the trades that I'm looking for I'm not looking for an abundance of trades.
Yep.
So I'm not looking to take a ton of trades and just deploy a ton of capital into the market throughout different assets and different companies. I usually look for 1, 2, or 3 stocks or companies that I really want to focus on, and I just watch those stocks every day. I'm keeping up with the price action, I'm keeping up with the news, because if you're trying to keep up with 20 or 30 companies, you're going to do okay on some of them because it's just a odds game, but I know that I could probably pick a stock that's going to perform better versus a whole portfolio of stocks. So just doing my research on a lot of stocks and stocks that I'm familiar with and comfortable with how they move, and not really caring too much about the fundamentals at this stage. It's more just about the hype that's around a lot of these stocks. So for example, just picking retail favorite stocks. So Tesla obviously is a retail favorite. MicroStrategy is a retail favorite. Hims and Hers is a retail favorite. The nuclear stocks were a retail favorite. Quantum stocks are a retail favorite. The indices, and just picking these things that I'm familiar with, that I'm watching all the time. And I was just able to position myself correctly in a lot of these trades at the right times because of how much time I put into really just doing analysis on the technical side of it.
So that's kind of what you're looking for. Like you mentioned these retail names. I mean, everybody knows Hims, Hers, MSTR, Tesla and stuff, but you're really just kind of stalking that price action and kind of take me into a little bit of that. I mean, support and resistance levels, breakouts, breakdowns. I mean, kind of what are you looking for when you're ready to deploy that capital?
We were just speaking about your son who puts all this time and effort into killing a big duck during hunting season.
Yep.
So it's theoretically the same thing. Like when you put in enough time and you watch it long enough and you put enough time on the land, you put enough time in the markets on the screen and watching it, you kind of just, you almost subconsciously know when or what is, when it's time. And I would say for a lot of the trades, for me, it's just knowing like, okay, like this is probably the spot from an unemotional standpoint too. That's what you got to make sure of too, because trading can be really emotional. So if you can just patiently wait without being in a massive drawdown, without having other positions open, and you can just pick that spot where this is going to be my best spot to get in and get it all in. Same thing with poker too. Like you want to get it all in when you have the highest odds with the least potential of the odds changing. So it's just waiting for that spot and then just getting it all in and setting that stop tight. And you just hope that it works. And if it does start working, you're convicted that it's going to go to at least this X move based on the results from the past, based on markets over 100 years ago. How has the market moved throughout all that time? How has Tesla moved back in the bear market? How has Hims and Hers moved? How has MicroStrategy moved? How have all these different stocks moved? And you're just able to really just understand and take your best educated guess. And fortunately, a lot of trades really worked out over the last 6 months for me.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, like when people hear, a day trader with 19 million in profits, they think you're making like 100 trades a day. Like I think that's kind of like the standard, like I would call layman approach. They think, oh man, these big profits in and out all day long, but your approach is really the exact opposite of that. I mean, like you may not remember, but like how many trades a month would you say you make? Like round trip trades on average?
Probably over 50, but under 100.
Yep.
Somewhere in that.
And I think that would shock a lot of people. Like again, like you're talking, a couple trades, a day, not hundreds. Because what you're saying, and I don't want to speak for you, it's like it's all that time that you put into outside of the trade versus just pressing the buttons. Like that's a small part of the time. And I think a lot of people just that are struggling, they show up, they got a little free time, they're like, I'm going to trade something today, but that's kind of the exact opposite of what you're putting all that time and effort in, waiting for it to set up and then executing.
Yeah, that's the main difference, because like I said, even if you bought a portfolio of stocks, like you're gonna do average, you're gonna do maybe below average, like you don't know how exactly you're gonna do, but if you're able to really dial it in on something very particular, like that's when you're just able to excel, because you're gonna have the right entry, you're gonna have the right target, you're gonna have a ton of size, and if the trade works, like you're gonna be able to grow your account substantially. So think about like a portfolio, right? If you have 20 stocks in your portfolio, and sure, one of them like you're very confident on, but maybe you're putting only 20% of your portfolio into it, and then all the other ones are like, yeah, I'll just put some money into that, like whatever. Like I'm trying to avoid those trades as much as possible, because that's just bringing me down, and it's also taking away alpha from my other trade that I should be making more percentage of growth on my account, because I'm just taking, quote unquote, a stupid trade. And I think a lot of people just show up to the markets and they just all take stupid trades, and that's why people don't have that great of an edge in the market. But if you're, and it's hard at the beginning too, you're not just gonna know exactly what to do.
We all made the same mistakes, yeah.
But if you do it for enough years, you're gonna know what a good trade looks like and what your trade looks like. And then the only important thing after that is, can you execute? Yep. And those are the two things, right?
So a lot of these big trades this year have been what you would traditionally call swing trades, not like in and out the same day. So talk about some of those big wins, like how long did they take, how much, and I think this is what I'd like you to share, if you're willing to, is like how much prep time you put into those before you enter.
I think my favorite trade of the year so far is Alibaba, which was a very good trade that met every criteria that I had overall. So I put in a lot of prep on this company. I was actually putting in prep on this company for several years, because I first started watching it when the Chinese stocks crashed, which was back in 22, I think, or maybe even 21, when the entire Chinese market just unraveled everything. Baba was a $400 a stock, and then it went down to it was like 50, 60, 70 bucks. So it lost all of its valuation. So just at that stage, I knew that it was really cheap, and it's the biggest company in China, right? So that doesn't really make sense for the most part, for a stock to lose all of its gains. Of course, China really messed up during COVID and shut down all their supply chains, and but that doesn't mean that stocks aren't going to rebound. Same thing with us. We go through inflation, we go through all this stuff. So eventually, I knew Alibaba was going to have a big move in it, and it's a highly liquid stock, and it's just a good stock to trade. Like it's not some super volatile penny stock, right? So
we said it at the same time.
I know I could get a big position in it. So I was watching the stock for multiple years, and kind of like Tim Sykes' 7 framework, he kind of has the stages of what goes through like a penny stock during like a hype mania, like all the different stages of the supernova, the crash, the bounce, the fade off. And it's the same thing with investing. Like there's 4 different, you can find this in simply on Google. It's like 4 different stages of investing. So the first thing that you're going to have is you're going to have a base for a very long time, and then you're going to have a break of the base, and then it's going to kind of trend up. So the first part is the base, the second part is the trend up. The third part is when it starts topping at the top. It's going to start going sideways at the top, and then maybe it will have a fake breakout over the highs and then come back underneath. So that's what NVIDIA did, except NVIDIA's number 1 was like 1 day, and then it started going straight back up. But on the top of NVIDIA, it went sideways for a long time, broke out through the top, came back under, then started to fade off. So
now, how much did you make on Alibaba?
Alibaba was $1 million trade.
Beautiful. And now how was the hold time on that?
It was a month.
Okay, so
Month
still
full time.
very short term. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think of like, and this is the point I'd like to make to you guys. Years of preparation for a 30-day trade. I mean, that's what I think the power of what Jack does. And also, talk a little bit about, this, what you've been working on, where you're kind of like looking to kind of give a people peek into some of the trades you've been making.
Yeah, I like researching stocks, so there's a lot of different research that goes into it. Besides the pattern, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with Baba, whether it's the fundamental side on it, how a third of their market cap was in cash, so they had 50 billion on hand, how their revenue has grown 16% since they IPO'd, and that was several years ago, and it's trading at the same valuation, and all these things. So I like to read and write about it, and have just like a research center where I kind of write my research about stocks, and I'll publish it for people to read, and some people can kind of see my plan and maybe they can create their own plan based on my information or tag along on the trade. I mean, Baba trades crazy amount of volume. A lot of the stocks that I look at, they trade a lot of volume. So some of them are liquid, but sometimes OTCs are liquid and they don't trade as much. But wherever I see a potential big swing looming, I'll basically just write a little research report on it, and it's been doing good. The model portfolio is up about 1,200% over the last year.
Not bad, not bad.
It's pretty good.
So man, Jack, I tell you, one thing I really greatly respect about you is that patience, that discipline, that focus. I mean, all of you guys should be inspired by this guy. Would you say you're 27 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an old soul. I mean, when I talk to this guy, he doesn't seem 27, but I think it's simply because he takes trading seriously. Like you talk, all the things we've talked about. I mean, just all this time researching and watching and waiting, and that's really, I mean, if you read books, if you study trading, that's where the most successful traders come from, is the people that put all that time in outside of pressing the buttons. So just kind of a quick video, wanted to catch up with Jack. But FYI, we are going to be doing a longer kind of breakdown of what he's been up to. We'll post a link to that below. It's going to be May 15th. We'll have that link. Definitely check it out. Markets will be closed. Great way to learn from a guy that's up over $19 million at 27 years old. That kind of started out a lot like you guys were. That was just kind of interested in the markets, wasn't happy with what he was doing at the time, but went all in. I mean, this guy, out of anybody, went the most all in of anybody I know. So want to thank you again, Jack, for sitting down with me. Yeah. And again, guys, hit that link. Webinar's 100% free. It's about an hour long. We're really going to get in depth on Jack's strategy and way more than we can go over in a 10-minute video. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next video.